Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. I'm John Campea. Thank you for visiting my movie vlog, and news just dropped. We've been talking for a little while about who could possibly play Shazam. We've known for a long time that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was playing Black Adam. That's been known forever, for years and years and years and years. But the question has been, who's going to be Shazam? A lot of people thought it was going to be John Cena. We heard a bunch of other names mentioned around. But apparently now it's being reported by Variety that Chuck actor Zachary Levi is our Shazam. Now, of course, Zach Levi can be seen as that role. He's playing that. He has played it in the last Thor movie. He's playing it in Thor Ragnarok. Of course, he was in Chuck. He was in the most recent incarnations of Heroes. I think it was called Heroes Reborn. He was a voice in Tangled. I just absolutely love this guy. I think he's a tremendous talent. I think he's an incredibly charismatic, fun, energetic, talented dude who can do a lot of things right in this business. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this is not a name that I saw coming whatsoever. Like, when you asked me for a list of what actors do I think might possibly play Shazam, I mean, I'll give you my standard answer. Hey man, as long as it's a talented actor, I'm fine. But if I say, well, who do you think might be on their top 10 list? Okay, well, if I had to guess who the studio's top 10 actors might be, it might be this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. Zachary Levi would not have been on my list. I wouldn't have put him there, not because I don't like him, but just because I never would have thought of him as playing Shazam. Now, I did notice, because I saw him recently, that he was getting kind of buffed and jacked out. So he's always been a fairly big guy, but he's been putting on some muscle, he's been putting on some weight, he's been getting jacked up. And maybe that's been in process or in anticipation of being Shazam. I mean, maybe they cast him as Shazam a long time ago and they're just letting us know now. Now, of course, Shazam is going to be directed by David Sandberg, the guy who directed Lights Out. And I love that decision. I think he could bring something really neat to the role. But one of the things that David Sandberg told us was that if this is going to be Shazam, is going to be the most fun of the DC movies they've done so far. Now, if you take that thought and think about it for a second, the fact that he is going to go with a young Billy who transforms into a full-grown man, then you are looking at the actor who could completely pull off the notion of a child all of a sudden in a grown man's body with superpowers and feeling like a cat out of his own skin and trying to figure out what is he, how does he control these powers, what does he do. When you think about it in those terms, all of a sudden the name Zachary Levi goes from being, wow, that's an odd choice, to, oh my God, that could really work. I mean, that could be an actually really good fit for something like this. Now, I am broadcasting this live. I want to know from you guys, for those of you who are watching this live right now, I want to open up the discussion. I want to hear what you think about Zachary Levi being cast as Shazam. Do me a favor, jump on Twitter and tweet to me right now if you're watching live, at John Campea. Send out a tweet right now. I'll pop up a whole bunch of tweets on the bottom of my screen here in a second. So start sending those tweets in. I want to hear your thoughts, your opinions. What do you think about Zachary Levi being cast as Shazam? Now, I'll be honest with you. As much as I love this guy, I was starting to suspect and worry that, man, maybe Chuck was his big flash in the pan. I mean, his role in the Thor films have been relatively small, so nothing big there. Heroes Reborn didn't really work out. He was great as the voice in Tangled, but again, that didn't really lead to anything. I was starting to wonder if he was going to pop up much, and then boom, here he is. He is our Shazam. So look, I'm going to open up my Twitter right now. I'm going to see what you guys are saying about this over here. And we go over here. Actually, just a whole bunch of people still saying, oh my God, Chuck is Shazam. This is amazing. That's really cool too. Let's see, what else do we got here? This one, Mike Kalowski is just retweeting Zach Levi cast as Shazam. A lot of explanation points. You know, I'm seeing a lot of tweets like that right now. Just basically people expressing a lot of excitement about the idea of that. Let's see, this tweet comes in from Raymond Virata, who writes, "It's time to bulk up Chuck. Zachary Levi is cast as the original Captain Marvel." So obviously, a lot of people, once again, feeling a lot of excitement about this. They like the idea of this. Let's go here to this one. Comes to us as my mouse starts sticking a little bit. JBird1812012 is saying, a great choice for Shazam. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think this is a solid choice, especially when you think about it in those terms of a little kid now suddenly in a grown man's body. Next tweet comes into us from Chainsaw Reacts, says, John, I think his casting is great. I didn't see the casting coming at all. I mean, seriously, of all the people I've talked to, about Shazam and all the different conversations I've had on my show, on other people's shows, whatever, Zach's is not a name that's ever come up. And I think that's actually kind of fun when we finally hear about a casting that is not one we saw coming at all. All right, next tweet I got coming in. John, nice. Not an A-list is awesome. Yeah, there's something about that too. So clearly, Zach Levi is a known name. I mean, we know who he is, but it's not like a radically huge A-list superstar name, which is kind of nice because it seems lately that a lot of the comic book films have been going for the big superstar names. You know, Tom Hardy playing Venom, things like that. I think this is a really nice choice. All right, we have here the Baby Gooner who writes, John, I like it. If you know the character of Shazam, it's a good choice. Well, I mean, it's a good choice depending on, once again, the kind of Shazam they're going for. Thinking traditionally, like thinking Kingdom Come Shazam. I admit, I wouldn't think Zachary Levi. But after they announced him, and once again thinking, oh yeah, a little boy now trapped in a grown man's body with lots of superpowers, who could pull that off? Who could have just, number one, the pure acting talent to do it? Number two, who could have that kind of childlike charisma and energy that could pull off the little boy in the grown man's body? And all of a sudden, his casting seems to not only sound like a good one, it starts to make me wonder, why didn't we think of his name before? All right, there's more tweets coming in. Ken Reels is writing, John, honestly, good for him. Can't wait to see what he brings for the role. And that is the other aspect of this, isn't it? Zachary Levi is one of these guys that we just like. Not only do we like, but we like to like. We like liking this guy. He seems like one of these guys that you'd want to cheer for in this business. Look, I've gotten together with him a couple of times at Comic-Con. I've had the opportunity to meet him a few times, and he's always come across as a really sincere, super nice dude. I couldn't be happier for him. I think this is great news. All right, let's see. More tweets are coming in. Game Light 7 is writing in, John, glad to hear Shazam will have more fun vibe compared to the dark, grim nature of DC. Yeah, I think we've heard, and I think the casting of Zachary Levi confirms that Warner Brothers has been saying they wanted to change the tone up. Now, you know, I don't think any of the problems with DC has been the tone. You know I don't think that. But I don't fault Warner Brothers for wanting to explore and go beyond just the darker tone. They want to try something lighter, and this guy is going to give it to you, absolutely. Let's see, more tweets coming in. This one comes to us from RockFan180, who's writing in, John, perfect choice. His youthful mannerisms will be hilarious to watch on screen. Absolutely. I completely concur. And honestly, it's that youthful enthusiasm that I think makes him the big selling point rather than just purely thinking, what kind of musclehead can we get into play Shazam? Which is why I think a lot of people were thinking John Cena. Because John Cena's on-screen talent has been getting better, but he's not exactly a leading man per se. He clearly has the physicality to be Shazam, and there is something novel to think about what would have been like to see The Rock versus John Cena, except instead of a wrestling ring, on the big screen is Black Adam's Shazam. That would have been interesting, but I really do think Zachary Levi is the right guy. Let's go. This one comes from us from Nora Co, who writes, John, he wouldn't be my first choice, but it sounds like a good pick. And you know what? I think that's probably going to be the main opinion we hear from most people. I think what we're going to start hearing over the next couple of days from a lot of people online is going to be, hey, you know what? Wouldn't have been my first choice, but now that I think about it, he's a pretty good guy for the role. Now, obviously, everybody's going to want to see him bulk up, but as I mentioned, in recent months, I've seen him getting bigger and bulking up, so that could go for it as well. Let's go. Next one. This one comes to us from Ren's Rebellion, who writes, John, love the casting. Wouldn't have thought about it, but perfect. A kid with powers to rival Superman. Awesome. And it's yet to be seen, you know, what incarnation of Shazam are we going to see? Are we going to truly see that guy like in Kingdom Come, the one guy on Earth, the Earth's mightiest mortal, the guy that is thought to be able to go toe-to-toe with Shazam? A lot of people, obviously, his powers are magical-based, things like that. That is Superman's kryptonite, other than the literal kryptonite as well. Some people are saying stuff like this. A. James, another tweet just came in. I don't know him, but okay. So that's going to be a response from a lot of people. Let's see. Next tweet comes to us from Manlio Herseg, who writes, John, I feel like he's a very good choice and would like to see how he fits into the role. And that really is going to be the big question here. How does he fit into this role? How does Zachary Levi fit and morph into this particular role? We're going to have to wait and see. And even more importantly, how does the director, David F. Sandberg, how is he going to use him and utilize him in that way? That's going to be something we're going to get to see in the coming months, I'm sure. This one comes to us from Reese Roberts 101. John Campea, great casting. He has that boyish charm. You nailed it. That's the phrase I think I was looking for. Boyish charm. I mean, let me just bring up this dude again. I mean, boyish, just look at that. Just looking at the dude's face makes you feel happy, right? He does absolutely have that boyish charm you're mentioning, and I think that's going to be the type of thing, not only when we get to see him performing on screen, but I think once he starts doing the media rounds, I think there might be, and look, it's all fair. This is all subjective. I'm sure there are people out there who don't like the casting of Zachary Levi, and that's totally fair too. But I have a feeling that boyish charm, as you so accurately put it, I think that's going to be one of the things that wins a lot of maybe some of the naysayers over, and see what they think then. Next tweet comes to us from Mr. Pop Culture Guy, who writes, John, it gave me pause for like 2 seconds, and then I just love the idea of Zachary Levi as Shazam. And you know what? I think you'd be lying if you didn't say it gave you pause for at least a second, because like we've been saying all along, this is not a name that any of us saw coming. This isn't a guy who we thought was going to be in this role. And so I think if you say you saw his name and it didn't make you pause for at least a second, I don't think you'd be sincere. But anyway, let's go through a couple more here. Clean Airs is saying, John, I'm excited to see his performance, hoping to see a similar transition from TV to comic book movies as Chris Pratt had. And you know what? I love that the fact that you just brought up Chris Pratt. If there's another guy out there who is just perfectly poised to ride that boyish charm, innocence, charisma, funny guy next door, good dude kind of persona that we would love to be able to see to transition to much bigger stardom like Chris Pratt has, I think a guy like Zachary Levi is probably a guy who could be like next up to do something like that. Next tweet comes in from Mr. Bowman72. John, I think Zachary Levi is a great choice. Awesome. Next tweet comes to us from Bishop2331. John, makes me excited for the movie now. You know, I think a lot of people are still wondering if this movie's even still happening. Not only is it exciting to hear that Zachary Levi got the role, I gotta say, it's just kind of exciting to hear that somebody got the role. Because remember, it's like 4 years ago. I'm in Las Vegas at CinemaCon, sitting in the audience as The Rock comes out on stage, and they announce, we're doing a Shazam movie, and The Rock's going to be Black Adam. Now, of course, we know Black Adam isn't going to be in Shazam anymore. But I think it's not only exciting that Zach Levi got the role, it's just exciting that somebody got the role at all. So that's kind of neat. Next tweet comes to us from Sean of Krypton, who writes, John, Chuck is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. Talented actor and great guy. Really excited. You know, I'm not one who believes that every TV show that was good should get a movie. Like, I think TV shows should be left alone. But I remember it was maybe about a year or two ago, a mailbag question came in saying, hey, John, what would you think about a Chuck feature film? And I had to stop about that one and thought, you know what, because of the way it's built, the fact that it's a super spy kind of movie, there's a sci-fi aspect to it, we love the characters involved, I think it would be pretty cool. That would be kind of interesting. So you're right. It's nice to see somebody from that show that we love so much getting much bigger at this point. All right, next one comes to us from Alamuddin Ali, who writes, John, isn't weird, don't you think that Warner Brothers should wait until Justice League Aftermath? Okay, now that is a very good point. That is a great point. This is the type of news that you would think maybe Warner Brothers would hold off on until after Justice League comes out. Now, I could be a little bit mistaken here, but remember, this information did not come to us from Warner Brothers. This is Variety magazine breaking the story. Or I'm sorry, I take that back. I believe it's the Hollywood Reporter. It's the Hollywood Reporter that's breaking the story on this. So it is possible that maybe Warner Brothers was wanting to wait until after Justice League came out to make this announcement, but as happens sometimes, one of the news outlets found out about it, and they're letting us know about it now. What do you guys think? Do you think maybe Warner Brothers was planning on holding off on this news till after Justice League? It seems like that would have made sense. Keep the attention on Justice League right now. We're only a few weeks away from the movie coming out. That would have made sense, but you can't blame Warner Brothers for this because it looks like one of the trades found out about it and is breaking the story. Let's see here. AJC17339 writes, John, solid choice for Shazam. If not, they still have Flashpoint. Yeah, they can always go back and rescind anything if they wanted to. All right, next one comes from Dillinger R. Writes, John Campea didn't see this coming. Great choice, but he needs some muscle in my opinion. Look, absolutely, if you're playing Shazam, you got to be bulked up. But like I mentioned, I've seen him a couple times the last few months, and when I've seen him, it's like, he's getting big. Like, he's getting bigger. Like, when he's wearing, like, a white dress shirt with no jacket on, and you can see the size of his chest and his arms getting bigger, the dude's been putting on mass. He's absolutely been putting on mass, which makes me wonder, to be honest, how long has he actually been cast in the role? Like, maybe he was cast in this role months ago and we're just finding out about it now. Or maybe he was putting on weight for something else. FF Justice says, John, the Zack attack is the perfect choice to bring DC's most Power Ranger-like character to life. Absolutely, I agree. Next one comes to us from Pawn Ninja, who writes, John, Warner Brothers DC casting seems to always go off the rails, but it always works. You know, for the most part, I think you're right. They go a little bit more unconventional. This is a little bit more unconventional. But unlike, say, the Ben Affleck situation, where I felt like I was the only guy on the planet saying it was a good casting at the time when it happened, I think we're going to see that the majority of people are going to get on board with this after they think about it for a minute. Let's see. Why can't I get this to come on? There we go. Joe619 Charger writes, John, could Levi carry a movie on his own? I believe he does have the talent to carry a movie on his own. I do think he has that kind of charm, charisma, and talent. He's been in this business a long time. He works very hard at his craft. Now, granted, we haven't seen him carry a movie on his own yet. We haven't seen that happen. But obviously, he's been in this business a long time. He's done a hell of a lot of acting. He carried an entire network television show for years on his own. I think we can trust that he will be able to do it. Of course, we won't know until it actually happens. All right, guys, listen, that's all the time I got for now to talk about this Zachary Levi situation. Obviously, I will talk about this more on the John Campea Show tomorrow, but I wanted to get your guys' thoughts. Again, if you're watching this post me doing it live, jump into the comment section. Your thoughts. What concerns do you have? So far, I haven't seen any concerns pop up in the Twitter feed, but if you were going to have any concerns about Zachary Levi, what do you think those concerns would be? Would it be the physical mass? Would it be the fact that we haven't seen him lead another movie yet? Would it be something else? Do you think maybe the boyish charm thing is actually a detriment instead of a strength? I want to hear what your opinions are. Jump into the comment section below and leave me your thoughts. So that will do it for me, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. My name is John Campea, and until the next video, bye-bye.